Illinois, UConn, who we taking? I hate to bet against Dan Hurley, but I love this Illinois team. I love Coach Underwood. I love this Illinois offense. It is just fun basketball to watch. I love Keaton Wagler. I have a little bias because I saw this Illinois team in person in Greenville in the first and second rounds, 64-32. So I just think this Illinois offense is going to find their groove, and they can get it done. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Hammy Show. This is the Daily Ham, episode 19. We have been on a quite long hiatus, and I am sorry about that. We have been exceptionally busy, busy here at the Hammy Show. Just released, of course, this awesome merch. Go see the video. Go look, like it up. You got to get some of this merch. I mean, it's the best in the game. Look at this. Look at this logo. Look at this logo. You want to see the back? You want to see the back? I don't know if you can see that. It's the greatest stuff in the world, and you need to go pick up your Hammy Show merch. You can DM me on Instagram, on TikTok, and we will get it to you ASAP. We sold out in the first 3 hours. We had to place a new order this morning. It is in production. We will have it back up and running, but the Hammy Show merch, my friends, it's absolutely awesome. But that is not an excuse for being gone so long from the Daily Ham. So this is episode 19 of the Daily Ham. We are presented by First American Bank and Trust, only the best bank in the entire world. Right here in Athens, Georgia, First American Bank and Trust has helped me day in and day out get the Hammy Show off the ground, and it has been exceptional to work with them. Of course, as my bank of preference, but as the presenting sponsor of the Hammy Show, so we cannot thank them enough. But my friends, let's get right into the Daily Ham. We have a very special episode. As we well know, this is one of the best times of year when it comes to the sports world. Of course, we have the Final Four coming up. We have Masters Week next week. It just can't get better than this. The weather is finally warming up. I'm back here in the Ham Cave downstairs in this uninsulated garage, and I'm fine. I'm actually a little toasty if I don't say so myself. If I do say so myself, rather. But we've got the Final Four. We're going to preview that. We're going to talk a little bit about the Masters. We're going to get deep into the Masters next week. But let's talk Final Four. I know we've been away for so long, so we have to revisit what happened in the Elite Eight. I'm late to the punch. Every single person in the sports world has talked about what happened in the Elite Eight because it was a historic day of games led by the UConn Duke buzzer beater win from the Huskies. So we're going to talk a little bit about that, and then we'll get into the preview for the Final Four. So UConn Duke, my friend, 73-72. UConn walks away with the victory after Duke held a 19-point lead in the first half. They led by 11 with 5 minutes left in the game. Duke had a 98.7% chance of winning this ball game at that very moment when they were up 11, and UConn comes storming back. UConn, who was 1 of 18 from 3 until their last 5 attempts, and they went 4 for 5. UConn, including in the 4 for 5 3-point attempts, is the buzzer beater from Braylon Mullins, the 5-star freshman, who has had some inconsistent moments. He's shown flashes, but he hasn't been what he is hyped up to be all season long, day in, day out, game in, game out. He answers the bell when his name is called in the biggest moment, when the lights shine the brightest against the famed foe Duke Blue Devils. Braylon Mullins is your hero of March Madness. One of the most historic moments, most memorable moments of March Madness history, in all of its history. It is insane, the end of that game. The end of that game where Silas Demery goes to the stripe, misses one free throw, his first free throw, makes his second. The Huskies are down 72-70. They inbound the pass, and John Shire, like an idiot, does not call a timeout. How in the world he does not call a timeout? I was rewatching that game and I was like, oh, they didn't have a timeout. No, they had a timeout. They full-fledged had a timeout, and they did not call it. They inbound it to Cam Boozer. He gets it up the floor to his twin brother, Caden Boozer. Caden Boozer panics. Rather than taking the foul, getting to their free throw line and making a couple buckets and kind of locking this thing up, he tries to get it farther down the court. The pass is deflected. Mullins gets the direct deflection, dishes it off to Caravan. Caravan back to Mullins. Swish. A logo 3 to win with 0.4 seconds left in this ball game. Absolute insanity, and I could not be happier. I was listening to Pardon My Take, one of my favorite sports podcasts, there on the listening platforms of Spotify, Apple Music, YouTube, whatever you want to call it. Pardon My Take was like, what are the highest approval rating sports instances in sports? Duke losing is up there. It's got to be like tip top close to number one. I mean, you got Duke losing. You've got probably in his heyday Tom Brady losing. Probably now and in his heyday when he was in his vintage self, LeBron losing. There's so many haters for those specific people that when they lose, it is a very high approval rating across the entire United States of America and across the globe. When Duke loses, it is up there with that stuff. I mean, when Duke loses, this nation goes into a frenzy because outside of Durham, North Carolina, and the large fan base that have no ties to Duke but are just Duke bandwagon fans, every single person hates Duke for that very reason because everybody hops on the bandwagon. I personally was watching this game at a brewery in Marietta, Georgia for an engagement party. I was having a great time celebrating my buddy who was just getting engaged on Sunday afternoon. And what do? We gather around a TV while they're celebrating the ring, the proposal, the wedding that is upcoming. We all gather around that game because we just wanted to see Duke lose. And UConn had no business being in that game, no business of even being close. They come roaring back, and with just the waning ticks on the clock left on that scoreboard, Braylon Mullins absolutely drills it, secures the victory for the UConn Huskies. We go nuts. Everybody is flipping out, and there's 5 Duke fans in this said brewery, and they are throwing hats. They've got their kids with them. They're a bunch of dads, and they could not be more pissed. I mean, they're letting words fly that they should not have been letting fly in front of that age group. But boy, oh boy, was it sweet. Was it so glorious to watch those Duke fans just be miserable, thanks to one of the greatest moments in March Madness history. Duke fans who have, in back-to-back seasons, witnessed 35-win seasons from their said Blue Devils, and those Blue Devils still can't get it done. Back-to-back players of the year. Cam Boozer has pretty much locked up the Naismith Award, and Cooper Flagg won it last year. Cooper Flagg and the Blue Devils get eliminated in the Final Four this year. It happens in the Elite Eight, and this year might even be sweeter. I mean, last year they were like the best team, and everybody kind of thought so, whatever. This year they were bar none the best team. Toward the end of the regular season and into conference tournament play, they close out. They enter the tournament as the number 1 overall seed, and they get eliminated in the Elite Eight. It was glorious, my friends. It was absolutely astounding, and I could not be happier. But let's get into the Final Four preview. We, of course, have Illinois taking on UConn and Michigan taking on Arizona. Let's start with some keys. The Fighting Illini have been one of the most efficient offenses in KenPom history. Yes, you heard that correctly. In history. Not just this year. They are the best offense this year. Efficiency-wise, they are one of the best offenses of all time. They do not miss. They make smart shots. Jeez, that was really hard to say. They make smart shots. They don't make mistakes. They don't necessarily try and steal the ball. They don't necessarily try to foul. They don't get fouled. They just play ethical ball. They play fundamental ball, and it works. Head coach Brad Underwood, has got that team functioning at a very high level, at a very high pace. This offense is amazing to watch, and it is smooth. It is clicking on all cylinders, and it is fun to watch. So, 4 keys. Yes, that offense has to stay in that mojo, stay in that groove. But their defense is what has shown up against to our surprise, to the general basketball fan's surprise. Their defense is what has kind of won them these basketball games. 55 points against VCU. They hold VCU to that. They hold Houston to 59 points, and they hold, who else did they play? Gosh, I can't even remember. It feels like it's been forever. Excuse me. Iowa 59 points, Houston 55 points. VCU, they hold them to 55 points as well. I mean, they have been absolutely astounding on the defensive side of the ball, and it's largely credit to guys like Keaton Wagler, who has stepped up and just skyrocketed on the big boards of the NBA draft. He and Stojakovic, I mean, this defense is just clicking on all cylinders. They're protecting the ball outside the paint and inside the paint. They're getting big. they're not the big. They're big. Don't get me wrong. They're a big team, but they're not the biggest in this Final Four. I mean, when you've got an Arizona and a Michigan on the other side, and really even UConn with Terrace Reed at center, Illinois is probably the smaller of these four teams. But this defense has stepped up to the plate, answered the bell when their name has been called, and that defense is really what has kind of pushed them onto this Final Four run. So I think that defense has to stay strong. We know that offense is going to continue to work at a very high level, at a very high efficiency rating. But that defense, it's got to keep up with this with this UConn offense. Stojakovic, he's the X factor. I think he's kind of behind the scenes, but VCU, he comes out there with 21 points, and the Illini just kind of run away with that one. VCU held it close for the first half, but then Stojakovic kind of took over, and he was that guy. He kept them in the game in the first half. He was really the only one on that offense that was kind of functioning at that Illinois high level. But then in the second half, he really took over, and they just got the big-time dub over VCU. We were there in person in Greenville. Keaton Wagler has been, like I said, skyrocketing up these NBA draft big boards, and he is an electric player. He kind of came in as this underrated player. I mean, you've got the Acuffs, you've got the Cameron Boozers, the DeBonces out of BYU. I mean, just so many of these big-time names, Caleb Wilson, all freshmen. But Keaton Wagler has been one that was floating below the radar and now has skyrocketed into that NBA draft lottery pick conversation. So Keaton Wagler is definitely somebody to keep your eye on. I think Brad Underwood, he's an exceptional coach. 26 years without a head coaching job. He finally gets his opportunity at Illinois, and now he has led the Illini to a Final Four appearance, his first as a head coach. Brad Underwood is an exceptional head coach. He's one of those guys that has just put in the hours, kept the grind going, and made it to the tip top of the sport. Brad Underwood does not get rattled. In a field where you've got, in a college basketball universe where you've got the Danny Hurleys of the world, the Tom Izzos of the world, the Coach Cals in his vintage state, Shire even, a lot of these guys are showing all of that emotion on the sidelines. Now, Brad Underwood is not as emotional, but he does get pretty hot, and I like it when he does that. But he can't be rattled by the Dan Hurley, like, getting in the ref's face. He can't be rattled by the lore of UConn, 3 Final Four appearances in the past 4 seasons, 2 national championships back-to-back as of 2021 and 2022. 22 and 23. So I just think this he can't be rattled by this UConn lore, if you will. On the UConn side of things, I think Silas Demery, he is going to come into this Final Four with this week of rest after the Elite Eight as probably the healthiest he's been all season long. He provides that spark off of the bench. He, of course, missed that first free throw in the Duke game as the final seconds were ticking off, but makes the second one. I thought that was a very, very confidence-boosting make. I mean, that stadium got loud in that moment, and he just drained it. It kept them in that game, and then, of course, the turnover, Braylon Mullins hits the 3. But I think Silas Demery's health coming off the bench as that sixth man is going to be a big-time factor for this UConn team. In these past few games, in this Duke game, Karaban was not hot. He had 2 points in the first half. He just wasn't clicking. Nothing was working for Karaban. He can't have a slow start against this Illinois team because Illinois' offense is so high-paced and their defense has been playing so well throughout this tournament. If Karaban kind of gets behind the sticks, if you will, then this is going to be a very, very tough task, tough team to top in the second half. Illinois has just been the kind of rock pounders. They're like one of those football teams that has a strong run game, and they know at some point it's just going to break the defense. They just kind of lean on you. That's what Illinois does offensively. Their defense has been playing lights out, so Karaban kind of has to step up to the plate and be that guy for this UConn team. Terrace Reed is one of the best centers playing at one of the highest levels in college basketball. He's got to stay hot as well. I think this Duke team, as we saw throughout the tournament, they struggle with Siena in a 116 game. They kind of not struggled with TCU, but TCU kept it close in the first half of that one. Duke hasn't looked dominant like they did toward the end of the regular season. So you kind of felt like UConn could come back in this game. I mean, when they were down 19, down 11 with 5 minutes left, it was like very far-fetched. I don't think many people thought that, but there was this sort of like question mark surrounding this Duke team as the tournament progressed on. So with this Illinois team, I don't think there's a question mark. I think everybody knows that this Illinois team is very, very, very legit. And I think that if you get in that hole, in a 19-point hole, over 12 points, I think this UConn team would have their hands full and they couldn't pose a comeback like they did against this Duke team. So Terrace Reed, Caravan, those guys have to get hot early, stay hot. And then Braylon Mullins, as a three-point shooter, he's got to stay hot. He's got to get hot early as well. He has been inconsistent, like I said, but when they needed him most, in the biggest moment of the entire season, he makes the biggest three of his entire life and gets the win for this UConn Huskies team. Braylon Mullins has to be more consistent throughout the 40 minutes of play. He can't just hit the one big shot, because this game, if it comes down to one big shot, yeah, he can have the ball. I trust him, obviously. He just did it against Duke. But if he plays at a consistent pace and he continually drains threes throughout the course of this game, then I really think this UConn team can kind of not run away with it, but stay ahead of the chains, if you will. On the Michigan-Arizona game, this is maybe the Pseudo national championship. I'm leaning toward the winner of this game coming out and winning the national championship. I think these are the two most established, best-looking teams throughout the course of this tournament. Michigan's win over Tennessee was probably the most complete game we saw from any team throughout the course of this tournament. With 10:52 left to play in the first half, Tennessee had a 16-15 lead. From that point on, Michigan went on a 33-10 run, and it was off to the races from there. They shut down Tennessee, absolutely mollywopped them. Yaxel Lundenborg is insane. He should be in that Naismith conversation. Boozer's going to run away with it because of his play throughout the regular season. But I think Yaxel has been just an outstanding player to watch, one that has been so fun, and he was such a highly touted transfer portal get, and he has lived up to that hype. As we well know, he had the Kentucky rumors. They were offering him $7 million to go to Lexington. He chooses Michigan, and boy, has he not disappointed. So that's my number one key, is Yaxel be Yaxel. I think Yaxel being Yaxel is a key to success in any game that Michigan has played all season long. If Yaxel is Yaxel, I think Michigan will run away with this game. I think Michigan is a very well-coached team, and that's no flack on Tommy Lloyd with Arizona. I think he's an excellent coach, too. Coaching rumors are swirling with him to UNC. I don't think that's going to happen, especially if Arizona wins. But Dusty May has been an awesome coach for Michigan, and he has led this team to not unprecedented heights, but as of recent, kind of unprecedented heights. So I really like this Michigan team. I think they are a really, really, really strong big man team, and it starts with Yaxel. But they have to force outside shots. They're going to be tough in the paint when Arizona is one of the best big man squads in this tournament. They are going, this is the battle of giants. This is Titans fighting in this Final Four game. Arizona has these big guys that can just make layups. They can get rebounds on the offensive glass, on the defensive glass, and they can really, really get it done down low. But they're not the best three-point shooting team, but they haven't had to be the best three-point shooting team because of their big man dominance. So if Michigan forces Arizona to go outside and make them make threes to beat Michigan, then I think Michigan, like I said, can run away with this. That starts with Yaxel being Yaxel. On Arizona's side, Braden Burries has to get hot quick. That's kind of been a common theme for all of these teams. Arizona staying hot all game, staying true to their game plan, not panicking and going to the three ball. Like I just said, they're not the best three-point shooting team. They just need to stay true to their plan. I know I talked about the run game, like Illinois is like a strong run game football team. They just kind of lean on you. Arizona has that feel too. They can just kind of lean on you with their big men, and then they just start getting buckets. The buckets start falling, and they don't need the three-point ball. In their Sweet 16 win over Arkansas, they went 5 for 8 from the three-point line, and they still put up over 100 points. They absolutely dominated the Razorbacks 109-88. They didn't need the three-point ball. They had just 15 points from beyond the arc. So if Arizona stays true, they don't panic and just have to resort to the three ball, then Arizona is going to be very comfortable in this situation. If the big men start making shots, if they make Yaxel uncomfortable on the defensive side for Michigan, then Arizona can win this game as well. Staying relentless in the paint, I know I've touched on it a little bit, but you just got to keep feeding it down low. keep feeding it down low. That's not panicking on the outside and feeling like you have to shoot the three ball. It's still getting the ball into the paint. They went 5 for 15 against Purdue in the Elite Eight, and that was largely in part why Purdue kind of hung around for the first half and then Arizona ran away with it in the second half, is because they kind of got away from the big men. They got away from the big men, and they started trying shots on the outside, and it just wasn't falling. Halftime adjustments, they got back in there. Tommy Lloyd was like, boys, just get it down low. Get it down low. So I think getting it down low, this is going to be, like I said, a titanic battle. Just battle of titans between Michigan and Arizona. So let's give a little picks right here. Let's get a little wonky with it. We're going to go score predictions as well. We're going to get real nitty-gritty with it. Illinois, UConn, who we taking? I hate to bet against Dan Hurley, but I love this Illinois team. I love Coach Underwood. I love this Illinois offense. It is just fun basketball to watch. I love Keaton Wagler. I have a little bias because I saw this Illinois team in person in Greenville in the first and second rounds, 64-32. So I just think this Illinois offense is going to find their groove, and they can get it done. But my friends, like I said, can't bet against Dan Hurley. I can't bet against this UConn team. UConn, their 6 national championships, obviously they had to go through the Final Four. UConn has not been to a Final Four when they haven't won a national championship. They just win in the biggest moments. We saw it against Duke, and we're going to see it again in the Final Four. I'm taking UConn to beat this Illinois team. I think this UConn team with Dan Hurley leading the charge, with Terrace Reed down low, with Caravan, with Braylon Mullins coming off of the biggest shot of his life. I like this UConn team. I'm thinking this UConn team gets a little 77-73 victory over the Fighting Illini. I think it's going to be a game for the history books. It's going to be an awesome Final Four. UConn over Illinois, 77-73. We just came up with that score on the spot. I wasn't going to do score predictions because I get a little angst because you can get it right, you can get the pick right, but you can still be wrong because you didn't get the score prediction right. So that's just what I'm feeling. So 77-73 UConn. Lock it in, friends. Lock it in. All right, Michigan, Arizona. This one's, like I said, going to be an awesome battle. I think the big men down low on both sides of the ball, as we talked about, are the keys to this game. Yaxel being Yaxel. Braden Burries, if he gets going at the guard position, Arizona. My friends, Arizona is going to be a scary team. But here's what I'm feeling. Yaxel is Yaxel. Yaxel is one of the best players in college basketball. Yaxel, on this stage, in the Final Four in Indianapolis, Lucas Oil Stadium, Yaxel solidifies himself as one of the great Michigan men of all time. And this Michigan team gets one step closer to being the greatest Michigan team of all time. I think Michigan takes home the victory. And there's a couple reasons, but I really, really think Yaxel's going to have a 27-plus point game. I think he's just going to get down low and work the paint. Like I said, this Arizona team is very good in the paint on the offensive side of the ball. But I think Yaxel, his offense versus that Arizona big man defense, I think Yaxel wins that battle 9 times out of 10, and this is one of those 9 times. I think Yaxel and Michigan, like I said, get one step closer to being the greatest Michigan team of all time. Michigan wins it. Let's think of a score. These two games, they're very similar matchups. I think they're very similar scores. Let's go 78-75. So we had 77-73 UConn winning over Illinois. Michigan winning 78-75. A 3 and a 4-point game. It's going to be cinema. Cinema, my friends, here in the Final Four. Big theme of the entire Final Four is who gets hot first and who gets hot first in the national championship. I think whichever team gets hot and stays hot throughout the course of these next 2 games, they win it all. They win it all, but I'm really leaning toward whoever wins this Michigan-Arizona game is going to be the national champs, and I think Michigan's doing it. Michigan's feeling good about themselves. It would be the first Big Ten national champ since I believe 2000. First Big Ten champ since 2000, my friends. Michigan Just saying. Just saying. All right, Michigan and UConn, your winners going to the national championship here on the Hammy Show. That is your official prediction. I want to shout out my friends at Hugh Subaru. Hugh Subaru has been second to none, literally in all facets of life. These four wheels that are sitting right behind this camera on the other side of the wall in this garage, this hot garage. It's a little toasty in here today, guys. That Hugh Subaru 2019 Outback has taken us around the globe, around the country on those four wheels to cover sports, to bring them to you. The Hammy Show, guys, we've done awesome stuff. Throughout the latter half of football season and into basketball season, we're about to hit college baseball like a freight train, and it's all thanks to Hugh Subaru. We are going around the country. I would not be here without them. A huge shout out to Hugh Subaru for powering the Hammy Show on the road. It is the best car dealership in the entire United States of America. If you're in the market for a car, if you need a little, maybe a used car, maybe a used Subaru, maybe you need a brand new one, maybe you have a Subaru and you need some service done on it in the Athens area, go to Hugh Subaru. That service and parts division, it's second to none, my friends. I just got my oil changed. Took them 30 minutes. Easy. In and out. In and out. And it was a walk-in. I didn't even have to schedule an appointment. They were pumping it out. They were doing it, and they had me figured out fast. Huge shout out to Hugh Subaru, powering the Hammy Show on the road. Let's talk Masters. Because the Hugh Subaru Hammy Show on the road, yeah, we're going to the Masters. So let's go ahead and talk about the Masters. I know we got a golf tournament starting tomorrow in Texas, but everybody's just looking forward to that legendary 4 days in Augusta, Georgia. One of the most famed sites in all of sport. One of the most beautiful sites in all of sport. Augusta, Georgia is home to legends. That place has seen the birth of legends, births of history. History books have been written on the grounds of Augusta National. The Masters, my friends, are one of the most special places you will ever set foot on. It is one of the most special 4 days you will ever be a part of. Whether you're watching on television or you have the opportunity, the blessing to go to Augusta National, my friends, you should never turn that opportunity down, because the Masters is one of my favorite things in life. It is the greatest time of year, those 4 days in Augusta, Georgia. So let's talk odds real quick. Of course, the number one golfer in the world, Scottie Scheffler, leads the charge entering Augusta just 2 weeks out. Not even 2 weeks out, 10 days out at plus 405, followed by Jon Rahm at plus 850, and then Rory McIlroy, the defending champ, at plus 1,000. And rounding out the top four is Bryson DeChambeau at plus 1075. Huge names at the top of that board on the betting market. Xander Schauffele, Ludwig Oberg, Cameron Young, Tommy Fleetwood, Matt Fitzpatrick, Colin Morikawa, Justin Rose, Brooks Koepka, Hideki Matsuyama. They're all less than plus 4,000 odds to win the Masters. Scottie Scheffler, huge favorite. I mean, a big time margin between the top betting favorite and the second. Scottie Scheffler and Jon Rahm, that is. I know Rory did it last year, and Scottie didn't have the best showing, and Scottie's been playing really bad on opening rounds of golf tournaments this year. But man, this plus 405 is there for a reason. We all know it. Scottie Scheffler. When he gets to Augusta, something just clicks, and he's got it. Going for his third green jacket, my friend Scottie Scheffler at plus 405 would not be a bad pick. Like Rory, too, as a defending champ, I don't think Rory can do it back-to-back years. I don't think he's got that dog in him. I think he got the green jacket and lost a little bit of that dog in him. I think he was always fighting because he had that dog in him and he wanted the career Grand Slam. But I just don't think Rory's my favorite pick going into this thing. Dark horses. Dark horses for the Masters. I'm going Russell Henley at plus 4,200. Outright winner. I know Augusta doesn't match up with his style of play very well, but I think Russell is due for a major victory. He has been one of the best golfers in the world year in and year out. Top 10 golfer year in and year out. Russell Henley, my friends, is a special player to watch, and I think Russell Henley has a major in his future. It might not be Augusta, but if we're talking dark horses, I don't hate the Russell Henley pick at plus 4,200. And just behind Russell Henley is my next dark horse, Chris Gotterup. Yeah, you heard it here first, ladies and gentlemen. Chris Gotterup opened the season with 2 PGA Tour victories. Chris Gotterup is playing some of the best golf on tour right now. He's kind of faded since those 2 victories, but I think when the majors get around and big-time moments show up, I really like Chris Gotterup to step up to the plate, step up on that tee box, and let it hang. You got her up, and you let it hang. That's Chris Gotterup for you, ladies and gentlemen. So there's some dark horses. Like I said, Scotty Scheffler, it's never going to be a bad pick, especially in Augusta. It will never, ever, ever be a bad pick. We had a question submitted in the DMs of the Hammy Show. Is this the best time of year? In the sports calendar, the end of March, beginning of April, you're closing out March Madness, you're going right into the Masters in Augusta, Georgia. Is this the best time of year? My friends, I'm a huge college football fan. You can see it all behind me. I've got articles on articles, pictures on pictures of Georgia football behind me, college football moments behind me. But right now, in late March, early April, there is no better time to be a sports fan. March Madness, that first weekend, exceptional. Constant basketball, 13 hours a day for 4 days straight. And then you go into the Sweet 16 and the Elite 8, and you've got big-time matchups across the board all weekend. And then you get carried into the Final Four Sunday and Monday. And then it's Masters Week. I mean, there is not a greater rollover period of just constant action. And we're kind of like, what sucks about it, I will say this, what sucks about it, the kind of downgrade of it is like a Wednesday right now. A Wednesday when you're off of one of the most historic March Madness moments of all time. UConn beating Duke. And now I'm sitting here and I'm like, God, I need the sports. It's a fixation. It's an addiction. You get it so much during March Madness and you're just amped up for the Masters that these Wednesdays you're like, oh, where'd it go? I need it. I need it back in my life. There's a fleeting moment when you think in March Madness, you're like, this is going to be my life for the rest of my life. It's going to be constant sport. It's going to be constant action. That is because of March Madness. And now you get it just kissing the Masters right there on the cheek. It's that close. That's how close they are. Masters Week, my friends, it is the greatest time of year. 100%. Like I said, I'm a college football fan. Big one. That's how this whole thing got started. And a special Saturday in October is really, really hard to beat, except for this week. This is the greatest week in the history of the world. Let's go, ladies and gentlemen. The Hammy Show is going to bring you all the coverage you need. We have everything and anything you want. Baseball has kicked off. Went to a Braves game last night. Saw a blooper doing some crazy things. Braves, of course, lost. But baseball is here. College baseball is in full swing. The midseason mark, halfway point just hit. It's such a special time of year, and the Hammy Show is bringing it all right to you. So, my friends, last shout out I want to get to is the Vinyl Frontier. The Vinyl Frontier is tuning up the Hammy Show. We're putting out constant coverage, constant videos, constant slideshows on Instagram and TikTok. We've got tunes powering that. There are tunes behind it, and it's all powered by the Vinyl Frontier. The Vinyl Frontier, my friends, is the greatest record store in the world. You see, I've got three big-time sponsors here at the Hammy Show. First American Bank and Trust, best bank in the world. Subaru, Hugh Subaru, best car dealership in the world. And Vinyl Frontier is the best record store in the entire world. It's not even close. It's all about the experience, going there, talking to the guys behind the desk, listening to some of your music, listening and figuring out who your favorite artist is, what your favorite album is. Those guys will help you. And you can pick out whatever vinyl record you want that they have in that shop. But if you can't make it to Carrollton, Georgia, the city of dreams, just off I-20, guess what you can do? You can go to thevinylfrontier.com and pick out any record on vinyl in the entire universe. That's how special this place is. I love the Vinyl Frontier. We cannot thank them enough for tuning up the Hammy Show. But my friends, this is episode 19 of the Daily Ham. I'm your host, Hammy Culpepper. This is the Hammy Show. We've got merch that just dropped on Tuesday. Literally yesterday, this stuff dropped. You are the first to know. You can DM me on Instagram, on TikTok, and you can get your very own Hammy Show shirt. It is the greatest logo in the entire world. I mean, look at the perfect mocking of my hair right here on the H. Oh, it's just beautiful. It's the greatest shirt in the world. Thank you all so much. We would not be here without any of you tuning in daily, liking this stuff up, and keep on watching. We really appreciate it. Give us a follow on TikTok at at The Hammy Show, on Instagram at @the_Hammy Show. Give us that subscription here on YouTube. The Hammy Show, my friends. This is episode 19 of the Daily Ham. We will see you next time. As always, ham it up.